Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
How is everyone today?
Good. Friday.
At least it cooled down a little bit.
Oh, that's for sure.
Okay, how many people do we have? I think we're waiting for a few more people. So give us just maybe 2 more minutes and then I'll start.
Jan, I'm just going to ask you a little side question.
Okay.
I have a 10:30 and you have an 11. I have another 10:30 and you have an 11 on this same Zoom.
Okay, I can send Jackie my link.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if we're running over, I will send a note to the next person to say I'm going to be
Yeah, I'll
late.
try to end at 10:30.
Okay. The
All right,
pains of sharing a Zoom account.
We don't have White Plains Library here and Brightcore. But I think I'm just gonna start because we're running late already. So thank you everyone for joining us again for our third session of the Green Working Group. Today we are also joined by a special guest, Dominic Molinari from Willdan. He's a senior energy engineer. So Dominic, welcome. And thank you so much for making it. I know you're in California, so it's very early for you. So thank you.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I don't have my video on. It's pretty dark over here. Hi, everyone.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so I will start sharing my screen. And then at the end, again, we can have a discussion.
Yeah, and just briefly, I'm here to learn and kind of get up to speed with where you guys are at. So definitely really curious to see what this is all about. So I'm coming in a little bit, a little blind here, but really excited about everything I've heard about what you guys are doing.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, so just give you a quick overview of what we are doing. So we are a green business certification program, and Willdan is participating in our program. And we're doing these green working groups to really help organizations to stay on top of the certification process. We go over every area in these working groups and pointing out the actions that they can focus on and helping it, trying to really make it easier for organizations so they are not working on it on their own. And it's also a good networking opportunity and also just learning from each other. I think that just inspiring each other and seeing what everyone is doing or what everyone is struggling with is really, really beneficial to this group. So these are all the organizations that we have in the group, in the Green Working Group. And these are all the sessions that we already went through or we will be covering. So today is the third session, energy. And our last session will be in July and it will be on transportation, land use, and water. So stay tuned. And these meetings are recorded, so you can always watch the videos if you have missed any. So these are the 7 areas of focus that Green Business Partnership is focusing on, and today we are talking about energy. And I just want to mention that I am joined today by the the program founder, Danny Glazer, and our membership director, Teresa Metivier. And Teresa will also present with me some part of this presentation. So every section or every area of focus starts with policy. You have already noticed that when we talked about waste and in an organizational commitment. So in energy, the goal is to establish energy management policy and incorporate it into your overall environmental policy. The goal always should be zero emissions. Of course, those cannot be achieved right away, and we hope that you will be on the journey to eventually achieve zero emissions. And this is a term that we hear about all the time recently in the news. So what does that really mean? Scientists are telling us that to reverse the negative effects of climate change, we have to achieve certain scientific goals, and so they set a goal by 2030 to achieve zero emissions, which would mean that any engines, motors, or processes, or any energy source emitting processes would produce no waste products that pollute the environment and disrupt the climate. There's another term circling around, and that's net zero emissions, which the goal is by mid-century, by 2050, to achieve net zero emissions, which means the net zero really means that we will not just emit more emissions to the atmosphere, but those emissions that are already in the atmosphere will be in some shape or form removed. The carbon would be removed, either through natural processes like planting trees, because trees absorb carbon, or through some new technologies that people are developing. So this is an environmental energy policy from one of our members, New Crystal Restoration. So, you can take it as an example. These are really most of the green actions from our green action list, and we will go over some of them. I recognize that in this group, there are a lot of tenants. And so, a lot of you might struggle to get hands on some of the energy data in your building, or even struggle to implement some of these green actions. But I just want to encourage you to talk to your landlords, and we have even given you the drafted letter for the landlord. With COVID, we have seen a lot of changes in the real estate market, and especially in bigger cities like New York City. A lot of people moved out of the cities to suburbs, or a lot of people are still working from home. And there's a lot of empty space, empty office space. And landlords are now starting to feel pressure to do something. Historically, they have not been really responsive and willing to cooperate with tenants on energy efficiency projects. But this landscape is changing rapidly. New York City is going to be having emission limits on buildings and penalties by 2024. So it's definitely, the industry is going that way. And I think this is the best time to start talking to your landlord. Maybe they won't be receptive right now, but start the conversation, talk to them this year, next year, and eventually they will hopefully work with you. And also, you can always think about it as a long term. So, okay, maybe today we're not in a most efficient building, or the landlord doesn't want to share the energy data, but in the long run, you can consider green leases. It's an option, something that you can set as a goal for the future. So Teresa is gonna talk about the energy actions that you can implement in your buildings. And I separated them into no cost, low cost, and then more advanced actions that you might be able to do as tenant, but maybe not. So it depends on also what type of lease you have. So I encourage you to also look into that. Triple net leases give you more ability to make changes in your office space or in your building. So Teresa, take it away.
Thanks, Yana. Good morning, everyone, again. The energy section has required questions, which guides each organization to implement measures that are geared towards energy conservation and the lowering of energy bills and a reduction in the amount of carbon dioxide emitted. Simple and cost-effective measures implemented by our members include signage and the use of natural lighting during daylight hours. Setting your monitor to sleep after 10 minutes saves energy or power. Screensavers do not save anything, especially not energy. It is best practice to remove screensavers, especially those that have moving displays. They use as much energy or more as a monitor in use. Turning off computers at night during the weekends reduces energy usage. For example, if a computer only runs 8 hours a day and is turned off at night, it reduces energy use by 141 kilowatt per hour per unit, or 57% savings. And a typical LaserJet printer uses 1,201 kilowatt per hour if left on all the time. This can be reduced to 378 kilowatt per hour by turning off at night and on weekends. That's a savings of 69%. Also, not turning on equipment first thing in the morning if you do not need it right away helps reduce the amount of hours the machine uses energy. Programmable thermostats help to save money spent on utility bills and energy by adjusting the temperature. According to the Department of Energy, you can save as much as 10% a year on heating and cooling by simply turning your thermostat back from its typical setting, 7 to 10 degrees for 8 hours each day. Energy efficient appliances uses less energy and reduces your carbon footprint. It is estimated that over a 5-year period, you can reduce your carbon footprint by 3,600 pounds by purchasing an Energy Star rated refrigerator. Thank you. LED lighting provides many environmental advantages, including being energy efficient, producing zero toxic elements, requiring less light fixtures, and having a longer lifespan. For example, LED lights are up to 80% more efficient than fluorescent and incandescent lights, and 95% of the energy in LEDs is converted into power, and just 5% is wasted energy. So LED lights are certainly a good investment.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome.
And I just want to say that LED lighting especially is something that even many tenants can do if you don't have it already, and it can save a lot of energy. And I want you to then, look into the green action list again, if you haven't done that. So there are many other actions that you can do in your buildings. I didn't want to go into too much detail on, HVAC maintenance and insulating your hot water pipes and installing solar panels. There are so many things that can be done. But again, it's going to depend on how much control you have over your space. So you are, I'm sure you are already familiar with our greenhouse gas emissions inventory tool. So once you go through your green action checklist, it's good to establish some kind of a baseline for your energy usage. So you will do that in our greenhouse gas emissions tool. This is just a sample from our company. So, you can put all of your energy sources. So purchase electricity and then any source for heating in your building. And that can be natural gas or heating oil. We have an option for diesel and propane, but those are less common sources of heat. And then I didn't put that screenshot here, but under the energy section and under this pie chart, there is a section for renewable energy. So either if you have solar panels on your building or if you are purchasing renewable energy either solar or wind, and that's usually done through an ESCO, so another third party. So when you put in your consumption per calendar year, so you will always remember you're always inputting data for 12-month period, and it will calculate your total emissions and then emissions per dollar, per square foot, and per employee. Even as a tenant, if you are able to get this data and you know what your emissions are per square foot, and you ever consider to move to a different building, then you know, it's going to be interesting to compare, you know, is your new building more efficient, less efficient, you know, so that's when you can be considering green leases and that kind of stuff. And once you put in multiple years of data, and just a reminder, for the certification, we require 2 years of data. But when you put in multiple years, this is your greenhouse gas inventory overall for your organization. Some of these fuels that are burned directly on site, like natural gas, heating oil, propane, and diesel, those would be your scope 1 emissions. And then purchased electricity is an indirect source. And so it's your total scope 2 emissions, because energy, of course, is produced by some other source, right? It can be produced by, you know, coal, but it can be also produced by natural gas or any other sources. You know, we provide you also the charts, scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions as well, and renewable energy, but it didn't fit on this slide. But again, if you go to your greenhouse gas emissions tool, you will see all of those charts. These are all of your emissions, but in the summary, we provide you with charts of your costs, of your consumption. So you will see different units. For natural gas will be in gallons, you know, purchase electricity in kilowatt hours, so you can see your total usage as well. And you can compare your data also year to year, per square foot, per dollar, per employee. So all those charts are available to you in the greenhouse gas emissions tool. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some incentive programs that are available in New York State. NYSERDA has so many great programs that support clean energy and energy efficiency. And we're so happy that right now they have a new program, real-time energy management program, that is specifically targeted for tenants. It's launched, I think, in April. So it's a very new program. And I encourage you to look into it. So commercial tenants can play a critical role in reducing emissions. But as I said, historically, there has been, you know, a disconnect between the ownership, the landlord, and the tenants using the space. A lot of tenants have a flat rate. They don't even know how much energy they are using. They're not submetered. So NYSERDA recognized this problem, and they have created a program, real-time energy management, where they would cost share 33% of the cost of real-time energy management system and services. And what is real-time energy management system? They would basically pay for you implementing with your landlord, of course, some devices throughout the building that measure energy in real time. So what we are asking you in our greenhouse gas emissions tool is look at your bills. But you know, that you can only look at that monthly past when it happened. When you implement real-time energy management system, you can really look at what's happening in real time, where is the energy wasted, and you can see that sometimes there might be a problem, you know, something is malfunctioning in the building, and if it was addressed right away, the energy could be saved. The only requirement for this program is fortunately or unfortunately, that it has to be multiple tenants. So if you are the only occupant of the building and you are leasing it, then you would not be able to participate. It has to be multiple tenants. And the system has to monitor at least 75% of the energy used in that building. So if you have any questions, Myra Lujan from NYSERDA is the best contact. She's great, and she will be able to help you and answer any of your questions. There is her contact information on this slide. We also had a GBP webinar recently in February, and I encourage you to look into it. Though we discussed incentives that are available through NYSERDA and CONED, and Myra presented on this webinar, as well as Antoine from Wilden. So there is a lot of great information, and I think a lot of those incentives apply both to tenants and if you own your space as well. Another great program that is going on with NYSERDA, and they're really pushing it and promoting it heavily recently, is EV charging stations. There is an incentive if you install EV level 2 charging station. The level 2 means, so level 1 would be the outlet that you would have at home. So if you bought a vehicle, electric vehicle, and you had an EV outlet in your home, that would be level 1. Level 2 is for public spaces, and it's faster charge. So it's not a 120 voltage like at home, it's higher, 208 to 240 volts, and it charges the car faster. So it can go 25 miles for, if it was charged for 1 hour, as opposed to level 1 would only charge it to go 4 miles if it, on a charge for 1 hour charge. And these are meant for public spaces, as I said, parking facilities, workplaces, and multifamily apartment buildings. The savings can be 30 to 80%, depending on the station and installation costs. And there are additional incentives if you are in a disadvantaged community, and NYSERDA has a map. So I gave you a link here, NYSERDA Charge Ready New York. You can check it out. There is also a map for the disadvantaged communities. And again, we had a webinar, Charging into the Future, about these incentives and EV stations. So again, check it out. It's in our resources section on our website. Thank you for all the messages. Okay, and so the last slide, I just wanted to bring to your attention our upcoming webinar. This is going to be about technologies in green buildings. So basically what I was talking about, the real-time energy management, if you want to learn more about that, we're going to have a great webinar about that on June 22nd at noon. And how to make your facility smarter. So it's definitely a future of green buildings. Yeah, Danny sent us the link in the chat if you want to check it out, but I will distribute this presentation, and I actually put the link into the notes of this slide. This is a picture, so this link doesn't work, but there is a link on the bottom in the notes. Okay, so I will stop my share and we can open it up for a discussion if you have any question, concerns. And I would also like to know from everyone if you were able to contact your landlord and, if you are able to collaborate. Any thoughts?
I think everybody can unmute too at this point.
Well, that was one of my concerns because I'm not sure how to manage the emissions because the building pays for the electric and it's part of the rent. So I have to get with the property manager. I mean, one of them is nice. I don't know if the other ones would help me out with this. So that's what I'm a little concerned about.
Okay. How many tenants are in the building with you?
It's 3 floors. There's got to be, I know there's 20 offices. I don't know how many people though.
Okay, so quite a lot. Do your best.
Because that's where you get the watt from, right? The electric bills and.
Right. If you can collaborate with your tenant, with your landlord and get a prorated data, that's ideal. But, you know, you always have to also think about the effort put into it and how much difference you can actually make, you know. If there are so many tenants in the building and you are the only one making a difference, then, you know, overall in the building, it doesn't make huge difference. The question is how much your landlord is willing to collaborate. You know, can you talk to them about this NYSERDA real-time energy
Well,
management?
they're in New Jersey, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
If you saw my
So-
property manager, he looks like Hulk Hogan.
Right. So, you know, just do your best. If that's no go, then, you know, you need to focus on what's material to your business. Where can you make a difference? Maybe it's, you know, for you, maybe it's purchasing instead of energy.
Yeah,
Because,
that's my only
right.
downfall.
And
of
that's
this
why
part.
we always encourage you as you go through the certification, you know, talk to us. If something doesn't make sense for you, then just don't do it. And maybe it's your future goal. As I said, landlords are more and more starting to collaborate with tenants
Yeah,
and cooperate. So maybe not this year, maybe in 2 years, your landlord will change their mind. But I'm not familiar with New Jersey, but I know that in New York State, for example, recycling is a law. Okay, so if they are not even recycling, you know, you
Yeah.
need to talk to them. But maybe the energy is not your focus. So again, what makes business sense for your business is the most important, and where can you make the biggest impact?
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna check out to see if maybe our office is separated, because how do they even come up with the cost of the electric? So maybe that'll help me out.
Right.
Thank you.
And you can always approach it from a point of like, you are just curious, you know, how much am I paying for energy?
Okay.
And is there an effort to reduce those bills?
Thanks.
I still think there's some value. I mean, if you're not, even if you can't measure, there's some value in sharing the best practices with staff, you know, that you learned today, you know, about shutting off computers at night, about, you know, just different practices. These are things people can learn about, can take home, can take to their next job, you know, or,
Yeah.
you know, if
You
there's a
wouldn't
change, or if
believe
you guys ever, yeah, go ahead.
how much resistance I'm getting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's the simplest thing, and nobody wants to do anything.
Interesting. And that's why we really emphasize that there is a buy-in from the leadership, and that letter at the beginning goes to all employees telling them, this is our policy, we are on board, this is important for us. You know, it's always also important if you can, with the leadership or your green team, to discuss what are the values of our business? Why are we doing this?
Right.
Is there
No, it's
business?
just a select few.
Yeah, is there
Oh, it's
business
taking
case?
forever
No.
for my computer to load up. Oh, I gotta sign in. Just do it. I just couldn't believe the resistance I got. I was so surprised.
Interesting. Human nature.
Yeah,
They don't like change.
exactly. It's about change. People, it's in our nature to resist change.
Mhm.
And that's people just like to be stuck in the way they have been doing things for years. But we can't live in caves forever, you know, we have to advance. So eventually people, when they start seeing that others doing it, you know, and be encouraged that this is actually not so bad, they get used to it and then they will be on board. But sometimes you have to take it slow.
Yeah. Even the coffee, I got resistance.
Even what?
The coffee. The K-cups to regular coffee. They asked me if it was sanitary to use regular coffee and put it.
Well, maybe that's not the best way to start, because we hear that that's a problem in many organizations, that K-cups is like the benefit. Like, don't take my K-cups, please.
Oh,
Everyone.
you wouldn't believe it.
People feel like that's just like the best thing they get at work. So maybe keep that for later.
What about the new K cups? You know, now the K cups, like now they have coffee cups, like not in plastic, but in biodegradable material, which
Right.
you can use in regular your Keurig machine. Like, are they like safe to use or what? I haven't researched about them yet, but my brother uses them at home. Like he's in Michigan, but he uses those. So I'm like, I don't know if it's safe to use, but yeah, maybe you can try those like instead of regular K cups.
Yeah, I was thinking of, I've heard of that.
And then
I was
there's
gonna look into that.
programs called Grounds to Grow On, ways to recycle them. I'd say that in like so many of our final presentations that you can find on our website, that there's been like companies addressing the K cup issue, the coffee issue.
Thought it was just me.
No,
People are,
no.
yeah, very possessive about their coffee.
Katie, this is why we're doing the group, because we are all in the same shoes, you know, everyone is going through the same problems and same resistance.
Well, our landlord has been open to, first of all, they're renovating and they put in all LED lights. So that was major. They put them all in. They're looking at solar panels on the roof, which is another great thing. We did implement food scrap waste, and what we have a refrigerator and a freezer right in our room, so we didn't have to buy anything. We just are storing it in the freezer, and then once a week I'm taking it out. So it wasn't using any more electricity. We didn't have to put an extra freezer in. What you've just told us all about the screensavers and sleep, that's something I didn't know. So we can do that in our home.
Good.
We could start doing that in our milk bank. And I know our facilities manager, I keep sending him the emails that you send me, and he responds very enthusiastically. I think he's a little overwhelmed because it's a new job for him. They just switched their plant manager, but I think we might even get some inroads in there. I'm surprised at how he keeps thanking me. I keep telling him about the recycling, and we're the only ones recycling, and get on the other tenants to tell them. And he's like, thank you, I will. So I think that, Jane, you pointed out there is a change going on right now. They know
Yeah.
they can't live like this forever. You know, they can't keep doing what they've been doing, these businesses. They've been somehow getting out of doing the recycling and all of that. But I think there is a big change.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Julie. Yes, there
So,
definitely is.
but we're having trouble and with gloves, recycled gloves.
Mm.
You know, Kimberly Clark has doubled their prices of them. We bought the Tetra Pak recycling. That costs us $200 a box to just have it. It's almost prohibitive at this point to keep getting these recycled gloves. So if anybody knows, or if anybody wants to put their efforts into what healthcare organizations can do about gloves, we use a lot of gloves. We have to change our gloves every time we handle another donor's milk, so we don't
Sure.
cross-contaminate. And with Kimberly Clark having a shortage and then now doubling their prices, and we tried this tetracycle, and it's just, again, prohibitively expensive. We are sending our plastic bags there. Is anybody else doing anything with plastic bags right now? We're spending $200 a box for plastic bags.
Want to hear a funny, well, a funny thing. So my local library, which is in Northern Westchester, is collecting plastic bags from the entire community, and they're being made into Trex decks and benches. So Trex, you know, I don't know if it's national or New York or whatever, but they are, I'm like so excited because everything that, you know, if you get an Amazon box and something's got, you know, put into plastic, I now have a bin in my garage that I'm saving all this plastic and bringing it to the library. So I think that
Library, Danny.
it's Hendrick Hudson Free Library in Montrose,
Oh.
but I think that they know, I think that this message went through the Westchester library system. And I think that there's other collectors. I don't think it's just libraries. So I would look into Trex, and maybe Teresa, that's something that we can learn about and provide to our members. Because they're doing it all over the place, and it's just awesome that that's going
Well,
into
it
the
used to be Home Depot and Target and all the supermarkets, but then when COVID hit, they stopped taking them.
yeah,
So now I had a garage full of stuff
yeah,
that I was able to bring to the last supermarket, and they stopped their program. So now we're buying this box that doesn't contain as much as we use because the mothers send their milk to us in these plastic bags.
hmm
So we use a lot. We have a lot of plastic bags that need to be recycled, and for $200 a box, that's very small. We can't sustain that. You know, we
Right.
can't afford to do that. So we're looking for somebody, and we'll drive. We'll even do it on employee time if anybody knows where we can bring them.
And I know that you posted a question about the gloves or commented about the gloves quite a while ago
Yeah,
to
we're
the
still
Google
struggling.
group. And maybe you want to post it again because maybe things have changed, you know, and like we do have Montefiore in the program, you know, I mean, I do have a, you know, a connection with the Very Green Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, you know, so they are super duper green. I can shoot an email over to them and just say, what are you guys doing? I mean, they could be throwing them away because, you know, of the immunosuppressed population, but maybe not. So happy to
Yeah.
try to get
I
to
mean,
the
it's a
bottom of
huge
that.
thing that there's no reason for the entire healthcare industry to not be using recycled gloves if there was an avenue for recycling. I mean, but healthcare systems are just awful with everything. But the gloves are huge, and that whole industry can be changed if somebody would just
Yeah.
take charge of it. Not meaning us, I mean somebody, some industrious person, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, everything in healthcare is one use. And sometimes they use it for you, you're there for 2 minutes and they just throw away everything. So it's hard.
Did you read the article about the wine bottles being? Did anybody read the article in the Times about the wine industry? Oh, so you know the wineries used to package bottles and then ship them, and the weight of bottles, and this bottles are single-use glass bottles. So what they're doing now, they're using 25,000 liter tanks to ship the wine over to where it's going to be bottled, rather than bottling it in France or wherever it's being made. They're putting it in these big liter containers that then they pipe it into another container, and then it's bottled at that point with reusable glass bottles that they are returned. The consumer, oh, I'll send you the link. It was fascinating.
That's really cool.
It's really cool. And they said they're saving, I think they said 3 billion glass bottles of wine bottles by doing it that way, going in the landfill, because most people don't recycle their glass bottles. They throw them in the trash. So
Oh no.
now that the new glass is can be used 10 times over, and it has just a cork. It doesn't have that metal top on top of it. So the wine industry is really looking at revolutionizing what they do with recycling.
That's
So
great.
I'd definitely be interested in that. I'm actually from the Napa Valley in California, so I definitely would see how that's all coming
Let me
together.
get that link for you.
Yeah.
How is somebody from Napa Valley? How does that happen? Oh my God.
Believe it or not, it's actually a city. We got like 75,000 people in the city of Napa, so it's not all just
I've been there a few
vineyards.
times. Truth be told. Actually, my son just moved to Oakland, so he's about 40 minutes out. So
That's where I
they've
am
already-
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
great.
I look at your weather every day because that's what I do as a mother. I look at the weather from where my son is, and it never rains. There's never, he's been there since the end of March. There hasn't been one drop of rain. So
That's the problem. We're in a drought.
I know. So,
I just sent the link for the New York Times article. It was really fascinating to read.
thank you.
Yeah, so we have about 15 minutes, but we can give you back 15 minutes to your day if you don't have any more comments or questions. But I just wanted to say that even if you can't measure, it's really difficult, it's always also about education, and just, try to remind your employees why this is important. I just remember I had a student, I supervised students in my past job a while ago, and I told her, can you please turn the light off because it's sunny outside, we had a huge window in the office. She's like, why do I need to turn the light off? Well, I said, well, it's not good for the environment. We're wasting energy. And she's like, but it's electricity. Like, it's not bad. And so, and I feel like we are being now taught that electricity is clean. Everything is going electric cars, EV stations, electric leaf blowers. But we have to think about how is the electricity made. It's not
Yeah.
clean. If it was solar, then that would be great, but that's not reality today, right? And so, when you think about gas blower, leaf blower, well, the rake is always the best option, but people don't realize that, right? So I think it's about education, changing our behaviors, thinking about what is the impact. And yeah, but sometimes, yeah, Katie, you have to take it slow, piece by piece, maybe every staff meeting, just say a little reminder why we are doing this. Maybe don't take things away right away from people because they get upset. Try to make it fun, maybe a little challenge, or,
Good idea.
give them some little prize, something like that.
Yeah.
And we went a while, it was a while ago that we did this. We went to Vietnam for a vacation, and the key to get into your room turned off the electricity when you left. And then it turned it back on when you came in. So
Yeah, that's very standard right now.
is
Yeah.
it? It was
Yeah,
great.
it's all over,
We
yeah.
thought, wow, why aren't we went to a hotel this weekend and I made sure it turned off the air conditioning when I walked out the room. But it's so helpful to just know your key does that
Yeah.
whole thing. You can't leave
Yeah.
unless everything's
Oh,
off.
wow.
Yeah.
All our houses and our offices, if that was like ubiquitous, that would be pretty great.
Yeah.
So,
Unbelievable. We'd
Yeah.
save so much. Well, I really appreciate the support. It's really nice to talk to other people that are in the same camp. It's sometimes it feels like a lone voice out there, but it's really nice to have the support.
And
It's also good to know what others are doing, and so we can implement it.
Bounce ideas off each other.
Exactly.
yeah, we felt like it's so difficult to find time to do these actions, right? When you are in your own silos alone, and maybe you're getting pushback, and you have so much work to do, and you always say, well, I'll do it later. So we're hoping that these discussions will inspire you to really, keep going, because it makes difference, and you are making difference, and that's important. And I really thank you for that, and being here and doing all of everything you are doing.
Can I share one more revolutionary thing that we did in our office?
Sure.
We have to be very, very careful with bacteria. And when COVID hit, a lot of companies came out that would like fumigate your offices, et cetera. And anyway, what we learned was I contacted a company to come in because we had a bacteria in our lab that we couldn't get rid of. It's a spore, and spores, you can't see spores. So there is do you know about hypochlorous generators? Anybody?
No.
I really have to share this because we now do this in our house. It costs under $100 to buy a hypochlorous generator. I'll write it down for you. It's water, salt, and vinegar. You make it and it kills everything. And so we make it now in our lab. We make a 2-liter every week. We pour it in all of our spray bottles. We clean our lab with it. You can even put it in one of those boggers if you need to. But I got it. Let me put it in the chat.
Please share that. That's like,
I use these to cook, clean pressure cookers and pans and pots when they get so dirty. So what I do is I boil water, salt, vinegar, and lemon plus baking soda, everything, and let it boil for like 5-10 minutes. and you just wash it off and everything goes away. I didn't know you could.
All right,
Well,
put
there's a
that in
little-
here too.
There's a generator and I will send it, I'll send you that link too. We now use it in our home and I mop the floor with it now and I clean everything. You can use it for wounds. It's very, you can use it as a mouthwash. It's very non-toxic. It's very inexpensive to make and it kills everything. So that was the thing, to find something that does all of that and is non-toxic to the environment and to the person using it. I'll share with you where we got it from Liberty Sprayers, because I don't like to use Amazon if we can avoid it, but Amazon also has it. But I'll show you. We just bought the inexpensive little one for the house and for our lab. But Amazon also carries it.
Yeah, I mean, and something similar but much more industrial is Viking Pure Solutions. So
that's who-
West Med discovered them. Yeah, and they use them in operating. They're like actually approved for operating rooms. It's zero toxin.
That's who I contacted to come in and spray. And he said, look, you can make this stuff on your own.
Oh,
very
wow.
inexpensively, and you can clean your whole office with it and your whole lab. So
It's
that's
like ionized water or something is what they said.
What?
Yeah, I think they called it ionized water or
Yeah, you
something.
electrify the water and you
Yeah,
test the pH of it. You electrify the water. It's called the legal name is hypochlorous acid.
All
But
right.
yeah, Viking Solutions was who we used.
Yeah. And it would be simple as that. And we could get rid of all the other cleaning products that we have in our homes.
I know. Amazing.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for sharing your stories and your ideas. It's amazing what we learn in these meetings. So thank you. We'll meet next time in July for our last session, and we'll talk about transportation, land use, and water. So I'm looking forward to that discussion.
Thank you.
I hope you all have a great weekend.
You
You
too.
do. Thank
And
you.
Dominic, thank
Gina,
you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you
Okay.
for inviting me.
Thanks,
I actually,
everybody.
Jane, I do,
Okay.
if you do have 5 minutes, Jane, I do have another like separate question about some of these surveys that we're working on. I don't know if you have like a couple minutes before we end.
Okay,
Yeah, we
can
can
I
stay
send
on.
you, can I send you another link to join?
Oh, no worries.
Because Danny needs to use the,
I have a 10:30. So
No
yeah,
worries.
what time is
but
it?
I have
Yep.
time. All right,
Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.